Welcome to Networking Unleashed Building Profitable Connections, the show where real relationships create real results. I'm your host, Michael Forman. Let's be honest, most professionals have experienced networking that felt more like a sales pitch than a conversation. Too many people enter the room focused on closing a deal instead of building a relationship. But the truth is, the most successful professionals often grow their businesses in a very different way. They become known for their knowledge, their credibility, and trust that they build with others in their industry. My guest today believes that authentic relationships consistently outperform traditional sales tactics. We're talking about how deep industry knowledge positions you as a resource, how trust develops through genuine conversations, and why people are far more likely to do business with someone they respect than someone trying to sell them something. So, if you want to build connections that naturally lead to opportunity, this episode is for you. I'd like to welcome to my podcast, Scott. Scott, you are a professional or an expert in all of this. So why don't you introduce yourself? Give us the cliff notes of how you got where you are today.
Sure. Thanks, Mike, for having me on your show. Yeah, so I started actually in architecture. I got out of college. I moved to the US. I was born and raised in Canada. And I moved to the US doing architecture for 10 years. And as much as I loved being in the US, that was the best part. But I didn't really care much for doing architecture anymore. I found it too confining. I wanted to change careers. I wanted to get into more sales and just working more with people in that kind of an environment. So I ended up moving back to Canada, and I went from architecture into construction, more with larger buildings and custom homes. So I got to wear a lot of hats, which I was excited about. I got to do the sales, I got to do the construction. Like I said, I wore a lot of hats. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that end of it. It just felt like a really natural transition for me because I could use what I learned in architecture, carry it over. I ended up moving to Alberta, and I got in with the medium-sized home builder. We were doing around 50 to 75 homes a year. And then I partnered up with a couple other guys, and we started our own custom home building company. And we came right out of the gates quickly. And once again, wore lots of hats. And we were doing probably around 75 homes a year, custom speculation homes, just a variety and renovations and everything. So that's how I made my transition from architecture to where I am. So we closed up. How I got to here now was we closed up around 2019. There's a lot of cycles in Alberta, which makes it really difficult to navigate the highs and lows. You get caught with all your capital sitting into one development. All of a sudden, it's just dangerous. So the comfort level became where let's just part ways, everyone, the three of us, and which was tough because I really built something I really loved and was hugely passionate about. So when I closed that up, I started getting a lot of calls from people that were working on large projects in a cost plus environment or whatever. And it was referrals because I really cared about my clients and I built relationships like that. And the referrals just carried on and carried on. And then I had one guy that had a big development in Calgary, and he wasn't comfortable with his numbers, and he was really nervous about it. So he sent me all his information, all the documents and all the pricing, and I reviewed it, and I realized that there's just a lot of things going on behind the scenes. So I helped him navigate through that and saved him a few $100,000 for sure, because it was a large project. But same with homes, a custom home, you can spend a couple $1,000,000 and you don't realize that you're throwing a lot of that money away. And so that's where I got. I guess I built my business around being transparent and doing what I like. And I have a pretty good knowledge. I've been doing this for, I always say, around 25 to 30 years. I've been involved with at some level of construction all the way to where I am now. So
Good. Okay. Okay. Thank you for giving us the background. You emphasize the power of industry knowledge. How does deep understanding of your field change the way people respond to you in networking conversations?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, I mean, they get a sense of that you're not BSing them at all. So it gives them the comfort level. And I put out 3 books just recently with everything I learned over the last 3 decades. And the books actually had a lot of credibility because there's a lot of information. And if they know my background like that, then it just seems to bridges the confidence right away.
Very good. Many professionals rely on sales tactics. Why do authentic relationships often outperform those approaches in the long term?
Yeah, that's important. I always believe in relationships. That's how I built my success. I just think the sales pitches, and I took a bunch of those programs, those classes, and I just felt it didn't work. And I just felt if you're being honest, transparent, you build trust, your referrals come so much more. And if you come pre-qualified, if somebody's recommending you, that says a lot. And that's where you're building your business. And like you said, you're doing stuff that's scripted and that's not genuine. And people feel it right away. There's no question.
They sure do. I take the pandemic as a line in the sand.
Yep.
Before the pandemic was really transactional. People really they weren't thinking about relationships and authenticity and everything else. But post pandemic, it's become more because Zoom came into it, and you had to realize that there were people behind the camera,
Yep.
and you're speaking to people, so you had to create that relationship first. Nobody likes the
Absolutely.
guy walking up to you and giving you a business card and saying, "Look, I do XYZ." You
Doesn't
know,
work.
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. All
I
right.
agree.
What does someone say or avoid saying in a first conversation that signals credibility instead of just persuasion?
For me, when I would meet somebody, I would ask them pre-qualifying questions right away. And at the end of the day, I would ask them right out, if you're looking to build, I'd like to build for you. I'd like you to pick me. I want to work with you. And I would just be right out honest about it. If you're looking to build, I hope I can earn your business. And that's usually how I made it work for myself. And I watched a lot of people over the years. Like a lot of times my wife and I would go to different developments in different cities and that, and just see how the salespeople were reacting or interacting, I guess you could say, with the people that were coming into their sales center. And the ones that were doing well, they were pre-qualifying you through questions and that. And nobody wants to waste a bunch of time on somebody that's not serious. But you do find the ones that are serious will take the time to give you the information that you need to move forward.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a book written a long time ago, like 15 or 20 years, called The Raving Fan by Ken Blanchard. And
Okay.
it's like a 45-minute read. And it's out of publication already. I always used to be in the mortgage field, and I used to buy them by the truckload. I used to give it with my business card to a realtor. And I
Yeah.
said, look, for customer service, read this book. It's really quick, it's really simple, but it teaches you all the basics of having good customer relationship. And it's incredible. You would think that it's common sense, but it's not. It's really not. And people don't think about it. But that's a really good book to read.
That, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, go.
No, I was going to say in the mortgage business, that's important also. Like the referrals, that's going to make or break you pretty quickly.
It was all referrals, all
Yeah.
referrals. And where I came from, the county had 3,000 realtors.
Wow.
And the mortgage guys were almost as much. You were working your way through the forest to get to the one referral. So
Yeah.
I changed what I did 100%, and authentic relationship building. I went into it with a servant's heart. I went into saying, how can I make you more successful? And all of that turned everything around for me. And that's when I started becoming successful. Mortgage company. Yeah. How does sharing insight from experience build trust faster than trying to close the deal?
Yeah. I never was one to push a close quickly. I would want to earn the trust for sure. And I want to gain their trust. And, because that, to me, like you said, I didn't want it to be transactional ever, because that doesn't work, not for longevity. And especially in a home building, that's one of the biggest purchases of your life right there. And I always found that if you walk into a Best Buy or an RV place, and those guys knew their products so well. And I'm thinking, oh, why wouldn't you want to be working with somebody that knew that kind of knowledge on one of the biggest purchases of your life? And that's where I found that's where I would gain the trust. I would walk them through a project midway through construction just to show them the important stuff behind the walls before it gets drywalled in and that. So once you build like credibility, you're moving forward.
Yeah, you have to realize that if you're a good salesman, your sales cycle, like the back of your hand,
Yep,
but nobody teaches you how to properly network, how to properly communicate, how to properly get the other person's attention. You may know your product really well, but your communication skills lack. That's where I'm going to move to somebody else.
that's right. Yes. Yeah, that's another piece of the puzzle that has to come together.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you're right. Communication is going to move you, it's going to move the needle. Let's just say that, right?
Yes, absolutely. What habits help someone become known as a trusted resource rather than just another salesperson?
Obviously, networking, going on, creating YouTube videos and that, and becoming that voice is huge. That's something I've just recently adopted because I just feel that people want to know more about you, who you are, what you are. And that's, I think, important in getting yourself out there for sure.
Is social media has become a part of being recognized. When you go out and you speak with people, when you network with them, they may ask, if they don't know of you, what work have you done beforehand? Or who do you know that I can go talk to? So
Yes,
all of that builds credibility. And the more
huge.
credibility you have, yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
Where do people unintentionally damage trust when they focus too much on the transaction?
They try to overpromise, seems to be one of the biggest. Always,
Overpromise and overpromise and underdeliver.
every time, anytime I see that, it's just going to be a recipe for disaster. Clients don't mind you being honest. And if you can't do something or can't give them something, be upfront about it. Everybody's trying to be in business and stay in business. If you want to blow trust really quick, start over promising. It's a great way to destroy your business.
Yeah,
And then you're screwing your own. If you're a salesperson, a realtor, a new home salesperson, and you're over promising and you're not delivering, nobody's winning then. The company's upset with you. The client's upset. You're not getting referrals. You're not going to get a network of people coming to you ever. And the other thing I noticed is when you become that person that people are talking about, you're getting a lot of different referral sources coming. You're going to get them from mortgage brokers. Love working with somebody that understands the industry really well. You know that for sure. Realtors love bringing a client that they know they're going to be handing it off that because they trust you and they know you're not going to fumble it. And those things, when you build that kind of trust, you don't want it to be deteriorating anytime soon. I mean, because that's your business, that's your pipeline for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely. How can someone use their industry knowledge to add value to conversations without sounding like they're lecturing?
Yeah, you don't want to come off like that for sure. And I don't know, I always watch how I present myself because you don't want to become arrogant or belittle someone just because they don't know what you know. It took me 30 years to get to where I got. And I don't know. I just think you just got to listen more than you talk. Listen for what the questions they have. I think that's important. And then answer. Try not to overstep where you don't need to, because that'll tear people apart also.
Yeah, it's really important that you listen. Whenever I talk about communication, about networking, listening is such an important part of the networking and communication. It's you have to listen to what they have to say, but you don't come up with the next thing that you want to talk about. Don't do that. You're listening to the person and then you're responding partly with what they're talking about. And you're saying, if I understand you correctly, you said X, Y, Z. Excuse me. So you're really paying attention. You're not saying very much. And you're that pause. Oh my God, that pause after you listen to them, it tells the other person that yes, you were listening and you're responding to what they have to say, not the next thing you want to come up with. Right.
Exactly.
So,
I agree.
yeah. Okay. What role does curiosity play in building authentic professional relationships?
That's interesting. Yeah. If somebody's curious and they're coming to you with questions about what you do and what you have to offer. That's important. They're curious enough to be talking to you and have the conversation open. So to me, that's important. That's the whole part of the engaging part. And that's how you get ultimately everybody wants to close whatever service product, whatever you're selling, you want to move the needle towards the end of it. And that's the sale.
Yeah,
And that
you
curiosity does build the pathway to that. Absolutely.
you have to ask the questions, otherwise you're not going to know. You're not going to truly know.
Pre-qualified.
And you're going to have to find out what their problem is because that's the crux of everything. The person has a problem, you have a solution.
Exactly.
What
100%.
I teach my clients is that okay, yes, you're a problem solver and they have a problem, but you don't want to meet them right there. You want to solve their problem, but you want to meet them a little ways up the ladder because
Right.
you want to be there for them after that you solve their problem and you want to be there for them, right? So
Absolutely.
it's a little after. So it all works out.
No,
Um,
and you're absolutely correct. You want to be guiding them. You don't want to be stumbling along with them. That's not going to build the credibility that you're looking for.
no, and you're not the expert then, right? If
No,
you're
you're not.
stumbling with that, you have to be able to take them by the hand and say, look, I want to lead you this way. I don't want to walk with you to get to this point. You don't want to stumble around and say,
No.
look, I'm not sure, but I think we should go this way. And it doesn't work out that way.
No, it
Um,
doesn't.
for professionals who feel pressured to sell themselves, what mindset shift helps them focus on connection instead?
Everybody likes to elevate themselves, I guess, is lack of a better way of putting it. And I don't know if that's necessarily the best way of approaching anything. The mind shift part, I think you got to focus on the client and really where they're going with it. It's nice to be able to elevate yourself, I guess you can say. But at the end of the day, the client is who you should be concerned with. That's the mind shift for sure.
Absolutely. And I go across the country speaking about all of this. And one of the things I bring into it is humor. And it's more self deprecating than anything else
Yep,
because I'm going to make fun of myself, all my problems, all my mistakes. Everybody will have a good laugh, but they can't laugh. They're not going to be upset with me because I'm not doing it to anybody else. I'm just doing it to myself.
sure. Why not? If you
So
can't laugh
some
at yourself, who can you? Right?
absolutely. And me, I can laugh at myself all day. So that's beside the point.
Yep.
Okay. So let's bring this podcast full circle. If a listener wants to build a reputation as someone people trust and recommend, what one relationship building habit should start immediately?
I would honestly, I would just be transparent, trust, focus on always having an open conversation, I guess, is always that's a good way to start things. Not I don't see as many people taking the path of that. I mean, but it's the longevity. That's where it's going to get you in the end, right? And
Yeah,
that's how
it's
you're going to
not.
build connections. And that's who people want to refer people that they trust and they feel good about. I refer people I trust. I will not refer anybody I don't trust. If I went, and I guess the philosophy I always run with, always have, would I do this? Would I want this done to myself? Anything I'm buying, any information I want, is this the kind of information that I would want to be provided to myself? If I can't say yes and I'm answering no, then your integrity is being compromised at that point.
Absolutely. It's know you, like you, trust you. They'll do business with you.
Yeah.
And that trust factor is so important. It's so important because, listen, and you're right. You're absolutely right. If I don't trust you, why am I going to refer you? Right?
You're not.
I'm never going to do business with you, and I don't expect anybody that I know to do business with you. So that's a
No.
very good thing.
Yep. I
Okay,
think that's
okay. This conversation reminds us that strong business relationships are rarely built through pressure. They're built through trust, consistency, and genuine interest in helping others succeed. When people see you as someone who understands the industry and genuinely cares about the relationship, opportunities follow naturally. That's the power of credibility over tactics. Take one step this week. Instead of trying to impress someone in your next conversation, focus on understanding them and sharing something useful from your experience. You'll be surprised at how quickly trust begins to grow. If you found value in today's episode, make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to Networking Unleashed, Building Profitable Connections, so you keep getting the best insights on networking and communication. And share this episode with someone who believes relationships are the real founder of business success. If you'd like, if you like help strengthening how you communicate and build meaningful professional relationships, visit to learn how I work with professionals, teams, and organizations. So until next time, lead with knowledge, build with trust, and create connections that last. But what I should have done before I did my little outro there, Scott, if anybody wants to get hold of you, what's the best way that they can do it?
They can visit me on my website at scottgrozelle.com, Grozelle. And that has my books on there, Amazon. My books are on Amazon, all three of them. And yeah, but my website, I've got lots of freebies on there. I've got a free ebook. So yeah, I'm here to help. And I always say, send me a message if there's something on there that you want, that you're looking for, some information. I'm here.
It's great. Scott, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. You're a great guest.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let's hear from our sponsors. David Neal, co founder, Revved Up Kids. Revved Up Kids is on a mission to protect children and teens from sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. They provide prevention training programs for children, teens, and adults. To learn more, go to revvedupkids.org. Henry Kaplan, Century 21. When it comes to making the biggest financial decision of your life, leave it in the hands of a proven professional, Henry Kaplan. Henry is a global real estate agent with Century 21, celebrating his 41st year in business. No matter where you're moving, Henry has the right connections for you. You can contact Henry at 561 427 4888. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you're interested in my digital courses, being coached, or having me come and talk to your company, just go to Michael and fill out the request form. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, or my website, forman.com/podcasts.